All guests on 95.7 The Game appear on the River Islands guest line. Isn't it time for you to discover the islands, River Islands in Lathrop? Let's go to that guest line. Our very good friend, it's been too long, Matt Barrows, the Athletic, joins us on Willard and Dibs. Hi, Matt. What's cooking?
Oh, cooking. The back of my neck is what's cooking. I've been out in the sun for about 15 straight days there, watching these camps and trying to keep one eye on the field and one eye on the sideline in case Brandon Aiyuk makes one of his appearances.
It's so crazy, isn't it? I mean, in August, unlike any other, this is a very odd story for August. So, Matt, let's dive in. That is my first question. Why are the 49ers, if they are, so motivated to actually grant Brandon Aiyuk's request?
I think they're motivated to force Brandon Aiyuk into making a decision. I think that they are frustrated by this whole thing. They're still not certain whether he wants to be a 49er. And here we are in mid-August, or early August, rather. It feels like mid-August. And we haven't sort of reached this basic conclusion. Aiyuk has flirted with the Commanders and with the Steelers, and he apparently wants to go to Pittsburgh. He's also said he wants to return here. So to me, I'm just trying to, put these tea leaves in some sort of order. This is all done to sort of force the issue, to shake something loose, and to make sure that if he does want to come back, this is happening now, and that he gets back in camp now so that there is a bit of a runway for him to get going before the first game on September 9th.
Yeah, and that runway would be getting shorter and shorter, 33 days until that actual opener. And it's just so weird, Matt, to hear about all the reports of him holding in. And I just wonder, what is he doing? He shows up to the facility, and what does he actually do while he's there?
Well, he does go to the meetings and, does the locker room stuff, talks with his teammates. So he's engaged in everything except for the practices. And he's also avoiding a fine by showing up. But I think this point was made by Mike Silver in the Chronicle that when this first started in late July, the perception was, this is a very strong positive sign for the 49ers retaining Brandon Aiyuk, getting a deal done. He's there. He wants to be there. That's obvious. But now, as we've gone into, 2.5 weeks of training camp, he's there, but it's more of a distraction than anything else. He's there, but he's showing up on videos and things like that. So this seems to be beginning to irk the 49ers to the point where they, like I said earlier, are asking the question, okay, do you want to be here? Do you want to be in Pittsburgh? What's the story? Let's get this thing resolved.
Matt, here's what I've been saying all day, and maybe you can just sort of like help direct me, because if I'm the 49ers, I would very much look at it this way. You said you wanted us to pay you. We're saying we can't give you exactly what you want, even though we really like you. That led to Brandon saying, trade me to a place that will pay me. And then we did that, and you said no. If I'm the Niners, at that point, I hang up the phone and tell Brandon, we'll see you whenever the hell you decide to see us. And that's the end of the conversation. That's what I can't figure out. They gave him what he wanted, and he still said no with this Patriots thing. So why are they still engaging?
Well, I'm not exactly sure. I mean, to me, I think that part of it was to show Brandon Aiyuk, okay, these are the teams that are interested in trading for you and paying you a contract that you'd like. Let's go. And two of them apparently weren't to Brandon Aiyuk's liking. Now, this third team, the Steelers, is, but I think that the trade compensation is not to the 49ers liking. So this is all what I call the anatomy of a stalemate. This is why we're not getting anywhere, because none of this lines up. Now, maybe there's a 3 team trade somewhere out there that satisfies everybody? I'm not sure. I still think that the 49ers want to have him back. It's very hard for me to see them getting anything, especially this year, that equates to Brandon Aiyuk. This is a championship year for this team. And Aiyuk is their best receiver. And in a lot of ways, he's what makes this offense tick because he can stretch the field, and he's a big part of the deep passing game. Nearly 20 yards a catch last year. So it's very hard to see the 49ers getting anything, certainly in 2024, that would even come close to what Brandon Aiyuk was able to deliver to them last season.
If there are hard feelings, do you get the sense that it's not so beyond the pale, not irreparable to where he could come back and theoretically still be a part of a week one offense?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is sort of the book on these types of negotiations. I remember, if you guys can remember back to 2009 and Michael Crabtree's ridiculous holdout to begin his career, where he reasoned that, even though he was picked at this spot, he should have been picked higher, so he should get paid that amount of money. And that lasted into October. And that was just nonsensical, absurd, and everything else. And as soon as Michael Crabtree was in the building, it was welcome aboard, Michael. And as soon as he caught a touchdown pass, it was Michael Crabtree's fantastic. And the fans forgave him very quickly. Now, if this is protracted and Brandon Aiyuk does eventually come back to the 49ers and there are issues, if he gets hurt or if he's just not nearly as productive as he's been in the past, I think that there could be some hurt feelings among the fan base and among the 49ers officials.
Matt Barrows, The Athletic, with us here, Willard and Dibs. Matt, there's this concept or idea now because, and I think Silver's article yesterday is a big part of it, there's this idea that it's tense and Kyle is really annoyed, maybe even mad. And so the idea is maybe Brandon's like at practice causing problems. Can you speak to that? Like what are the emotions? What's happening there on the daily basis?
Yeah, I really can't speak to that because, when he's out there, it doesn't seem to be a big distraction. I mean, it's a distraction to media members and to people in the stands who are taking videos. But I don't really think that it's affecting the practices at all. I will say, though, that there were a couple instances where Brandon Aiyuk is out there. He's watching from the sideline. And John Lynch kind of walks over and either kind of takes him, to the spot where John watches practice, or in one instance, I watched this, he kind of takes him all the way back into the team headquarters. So, I guess that could be a sense that they'd rather have him out of sight when he's around. There's the other part of it is that there's this ridiculous notion that he arrived with a neck and a back issue, and that's why he's not practicing, not because of any contract. That's officially why he's not practicing. So maybe that's what's annoying Shanahan, that if you're here, if you're healthy, if we're dealing with all sorts of real injuries at wide receiver, and they are, you ought to be back out here. You're under contract. You should be practicing with your team.
How much of that affects what the 49ers are going to do? Not necessarily the Ricky Pearsall nagging injuries, but just looking at their depth at wide receiver and realizing that if you don't have Brandon Aiyuk, who will you turn to as your second wide receiver in most of your formations?
Well, Brandon Ayuk's been holding in. Deebo Samuel's been having, his best camp since, 2019 when he was a rookie. He looks good. He looks motivated. And he's happy. I mean, you just kind of see that in his body language. So it's a real sharp contrast between him and his good friend, his close teammate, Brandon Aiyuk. And Juwan Jennings has looked good as well. So those are your top two guys. Now, they like to use Juwan out of the slot. They like to use him as the third receiver on third down. So I don't know if it'll be exactly, those are your two starters. I think Chris Conley would probably be the other guy in the mix for a big role. Someone started to come on at the end of last season looked good in the Super Bowl, looked good in the playoffs, and he's also been consistently good in camp. So those would probably be your top three, with Ricky Pearsall, if he's healthy, right there after that.
Matt Barrows, The Athletic, with us here, Willard and Dibs, obviously talking about the Brandon Aiyuk situation. Matt, maybe I'm making this up in my head, but just kind of listening to you talk about this a few minutes ago, it sounds to me like you think still the most likely outcome is Brandon on the 49ers. Do you believe that?
I think, let me phrase it this way. I think that's still the outcome that the 49ers want. It's up to Brandon Aiyuk to decide whether he wants that or not. I mean, I don't know what the trade package is that Pittsburgh is offering right now, but I do know that the 49ers would prefer to have a wide receiver as part of that trade package. And you look up and down the Steelers roster, and there are not a lot of desirable wide receivers. This is why the Steelers would be interested in this scenario. There is reason for the 49ers to say no to this. But another reason is to keep Brandon Aiyuk. I mean, if Washington and Pittsburgh are the two places that he wants to go, and Washington's not interested in the contract, and Pittsburgh doesn't have the ammunition to work out a deal, the 49ers are basically telling Brandon Aiyuk, okay, it's time to go to your third option, which presumably is the 49ers.
How often do these three-team trades happen? Because you mentioned it earlier, and I was thinking about the NBA where you get a 6-team trade involving Klay Thompson. But in the NFL, are these commonplace?
No. I mean, I'm as you were formulating that question, I was trying to think of one in my mind, and I couldn't pull one. But, that would seem to be, like I said, the 49ers need something that helps them in 2024. Look up and down that Steelers roster. I mean, there are a couple of great players on that team. I think Fitzpatrick, TJ Watt, maybe a couple of others, but I doubt that the Steelers would ever kind of throw that into the mix of compensation.
Matt, have you gotten a sense, being around the guys, what his teammates think of all of this right now?
I think that, I thought that Nick Bosa's comments yesterday were really poignant. I mean, he was saying that, Brandon Aiyuk would be very, very hard to replace, given everything that he does. And I talked about the downfield ability, but it's the little stuff that he does as well. I mean, the blocking that you see for Christian McCaffrey deep down the field, the blocking for Deebo Samuel, things like that. My thought is that the 49ers have the wide receiver position for them over the years has been very, very hard to satisfy. Kyle Shanahan is a very exacting coach, and that's especially true when it comes to wide receivers. And very few pass muster with him. And Brandon Aiyuk is the rare example of somebody who has, and he's a homegrown product, a guy that the 49ers drafted. And to part ways with him now, I just think that would be a loss for the organization, not just losing Brandon Aiyuk, but it's an L on the scoreboard for them. So that's, again, that's why I would think that the 49ers would still, even at this juncture, want to hold on to this guy.
And I know we already talked Pearsall a little bit, but like, what is their confidence level that he really can step into this role, and can they know that at all before you actually see him in live games?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're seeing what he does best, which is he's very quick. He gets open, and that's everything in this league. Now, staying healthy, that might be the only thing that's more important than that to a wide receiver, and that he hasn't checked that box yet. So that's a question mark. But I do think that they feel like if he gets into games, and I think the plan is to kind of sprinkle him in very here and there early on, that he's gonna work out. It's not going to be too big for him. He's going to get open. Brock Purdy's going to find him, it's going to be a good marriage. But I mean, to say that he can step in for Brandon Aiyuk, I think that's a little bit too ambitious.
Matt, great to have you today, man. Thank you so much for making some time.
Anytime, guys. Talk to you soon.
Okay,
Thanks, Matt.
Matt Barrows, The Athletic, latest on the Brandon Aiyuk situation.